Milo was small enough to fit beneath the seat of a car, yet big enough to hold a heart that trusted too easily. On the day everything changed, the sky was gray, the kind of muted afternoon that makes the world feel quieter than it should. The car slowed near the edge of a small town. Milo lifted his head, expecting a gentle hand, a soft word, maybe even the promise of home. Instead, the door opened, and a pair of hurried hands set him down on the cold pavement. He didn't understand. The car door shut, tires rolled forward, and the person he had memorized didn't look back. The vehicle grew smaller, until it became nothing more than a blur swallowed by distance. Milo took one step forward, then stopped. The world felt too large for someone his size. The wind brushed against him, lifting a few loose leaves into the air. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked, but Milo didn't move. He simply watched the empty road, as if waiting for the impossible, waiting for someone who had already chosen to leave. Eventually, he turned around, not because he knew where to go, but because standing still hurt too much. His paws touched gravel, then grass, then the cracked sidewalk of the town's outer streets. Every sound made him flinch: an engine starting, the rustle of a plastic bag, the distant clang of a metal sign. He kept walking anyway. He passed a convenience store where a boy sat on the steps eating chips. Milo approached with his ears low and his tail tucked. But before he could reach the boy, a woman called him inside. The door shut. Milo stood alone again, so he kept moving. As the afternoon faded, the sky dimmed into a gentle blue. Streetlights began to wake, humming softly. Milo's shadow stretched long behind him as he padded toward a small park. There, under a bench, he found his first bit of shelter, nothing more than a sliver of space. But it felt safer than the open road. He curled up, hoping for warmth, but the ground was cold, and the wind sharper now. Milo trembled. He tried to sleep, but each time he closed his eyes, he heard the sound of that car door shutting, and each time, his heart cracked a little more. Night slipped by slowly. By morning, Milo was tired and hungry. His legs felt stiff, but he stood anyway. Birds chirped in the trees. A jogger passed him without noticing. The world kept moving, even when he felt like stopping. He followed the scent of bread to a bakery's back door. A kind-faced baker stepped out, holding a tray. She glanced down at Milo, hesitated, and then smiled. She set a small piece of warm bread on the ground. Milo approached cautiously, then gratefully ate every crumb. For a moment, he felt seen, but she had work to return to. And she whispered, "I'm sorry, little one," before closing the door. He wasn't unwanted because he was bad. He was unwanted because no one had stayed long enough to understand him. The day grew long. Milo walked past the school, the grocery store, the post office, little pieces of the town's quiet rhythm. People noticed him, but no one stepped forward fully. He was a ghost moving through a world of busy hearts. By late afternoon, clouds gathered overhead. The first raindrop fell on his nose. Then another. Soon the sky opened, releasing a curtain of cold rain. Milo hurried beneath a bus stop roof. His fur was soaked, heavy against his tiny frame. For a moment, he thought about staying there forever. Maybe this was his place now, between the forgotten and the unseen. But then a bus approached. Its brakes hissed. The doors opened, and Milo flinched, bracing for the sound of another door closing in his face. Instead, the driver simply looked at him and nodded, as if acknowledging his struggle. The bus pulled away, leaving the night quiet again. And in that quiet, Milo found the strength to take one more step. He walked toward the edge of town. The rain slowed, the clouds thinned, and in the distance, through the blur of water on his lashes, he spotted a warm glow. A house stood there, small, peaceful, tucked near a line of trees. The light spilling from its windows painted the ground gold. Milo hesitated. He wasn't sure he deserved warmth anymore. But the glow pulled him forward. His paws sunk softly into the wet grass as he approached the porch. He stopped at the first step. His heart raced. Inside the house, a man sat alone at a wooden table, a mug of tea untouched beside him. His eyes were tired, the kind of tired that comes from years of carrying invisible weight. When Milo whimpered softly, the man lifted his head. He stood, slowly, as if afraid the moment might disappear if he moved too quickly. He walked to the door and opened it. Warm air spilled out, brushing against Milo's wet fur. Their eyes met, one pair weary, the other afraid to hope. The man knelt. "Hey, buddy," he whispered, voice trembling with something heavier than sadness. "Are you lost?" Milo didn't move at first. The world had taught him caution. But the man extended his hand, palm facing up, offering not possession, but choice. And Milo stepped forward, just one step, but it was enough to change everything. The man picked him up gently, holding him as though holding something fragile but precious. Milo felt warmth for the first time in days. He buried his face into the man's chest, and the man exhaled, as if releasing years of loneliness in one breath. He carried Milo inside, closed the door softly, unlike those who had closed it with finality. And just like that, a new story began. A small bed was placed near the fireplace. A towel warmed on the radiator to dry Milo's fur. And the man sat beside him, simply watching, as though witnessing a miracle. Milo drifted into sleep, knowing, maybe for the first time, that he was safe. Sometimes, a home isn't the place you start. Sometimes, it's the place that waits for you, quietly, until you're brave enough to walk toward it. And on that rainy evening, Milo found his.